to welcome all you students to this tutorial, History of Education tutorial. And of course, our last History of Education tutorial, and I just welcome you here to it, and just hope that we would have a good time together here. All right, so if you can just make yourselves comfortable, sit down, relax. You can see I've got my hat on here, just for the sake of a little bit of the time. I'm going to just change my hat quickly, and put a crown on myself here, just to give it another sign. And if you want to see something else, I can also grow a massage very, very quickly as well with the tutorial, with these Google effects, which is quite a cool way of doing everything here too. All right, so I'll welcome you all to this tutorial, and so it's nice to have you here, and we go through. Right, tonight we are going to focus on two main things. The one is just about the changes in education, and that is going to be based on feedback, mainly on feedback from your assignment 3, on that article by Asmal and James, Wilmot James. And then the second part of the of tonight's tutorial will also be about discussion forum 2, the one about the colonialism, religion, and education. So those are the two main things that we will be focusing on. Right, thank you for your nice comments about my hat. I don't have a bishop's hat, but that's mainly because I haven't been ordained. Right, so I also just want to say that you're more than welcome to make contact with me through the group chat this evening, and post your comments there, and then I'll try and respond to those as quickly as we can. But let's just make this interactive and have a good time. Right, and I think I'm going to start off with something that is I think it's really amusing, just to add a bit of fun to the tutorial, and it's a plea on my part, is please, 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 at your graduation ceremony, I don't want any education students following this example, right? At your graduation ceremony, I don't want any education students following this example. Just give me a minute just to set it up, and then we'll go with it from here.
Oh, and what should have been a triumphant moment. College grad at Davenport University got a little too excited after accepting his diploma. And finally, an epic fail at what should have been a triumphant moment. A college grad at Davenport University got a little too excited after accepting his diploma on stage in front of family and friends. What could go wrong? Watch what happened next.
Keaton Taylor Briggs.
Oh no! He decided to do a backflip, but yeah, he did not land that so well. Don't worry, he's okay. And thankfully, we didn't actually see that impact. I didn't want to see that. But apparently, he's been having lots of fun since this video aired on local TV. His name is Bobby Blank. He says it was a spur of the moment thing. He didn't mean to steal the show, but he's popped up that there was an open space, so he thought, I'm going to go for it. Just got a little short.
He should have did a dress rehearsal, because I think maybe the gown got
might have gotten this way, yeah.
Everybody's like, give me back that.
Did you face the president?
It was like,
Where it's like, what's going on there?
Well, he did make national TV.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Right, so there's just the incident of somebody who at graduation tried to do a backward flip, and his excuse or his explanation for not succeeding was that he had to hold his hood and the diploma in his hands, and so that when he landed on the floor, he landed flat in his face. Oh, I really don't wish that on anybody at your graduation year as well. Right, just some fun effort there. Okay, let's get on with tonight. I want to just go through some notes here. About chapter 9. All right, just a minute. Yeah. These notes come from chapter 9 in Boyson's book, and this is part of just the last couple of pages of that chapter, where he talks about the achievements, problems and challenges that are facing education, right? So the first one he talks about is the quality of education, which is an important aspect, and he notes that over the years, from 1994 until the present time, the matric pass rate has declined drastically. And that obviously affects the quality of our education as well. The process of the quality is also disturbing, especially amongst historically black schools, and then black schools were poorly resourced. Outcomes-based education, I must remember this was 1994, and in mid-90s, and then OBE was still a big factor at that stage. But there was a major shift from the OBE, or from the curriculum we had, and then going to the OBE that we were doing with them. And then because of the serious lack of resources, there were many experts that suggested South Africa discontinue the OBE. Oh, by the way, the graduation ceremony that happened there took place at Devonport University in the USA in April. Let me just correct the spelling here. Sorry, Devonport University in April, I think it was the 29th of April 2014. That's just so that you know. Right, so outcomes-based education was also a challenge, and we had to deal with that one as well. Right, and then a third challenge was that the quality of our education remained unequal, and it was based, and that is because prior to 1994, it was based upon racial lines and that. And then white schools were obviously far better off than what other schools were. Decentralization, major factor in the success of education in the black schools and colored schools in the 1990s, was that parents in less affluent communities were less likely to become involved in education and in school government governance. But at the same time, the government was very determined to push through educational reform. So it was very much a top-bottom situation that you were coming through. Then, multiculturalism also remained an ideal. It was not yet a reality in the early 90s. And then there was this lack of teaching many African languages in our schools and that. And even in universities today, there's a decline in the schools. Desegregation was a big factor as well. And the last point on this slide is what I want to highlight, is that while the affluent black students are the ones that moved, right, they were the ones that moved to what was formerly known as the white schools, and so racial segregation was then replaced by socio-economic segregation. Those black pupils who could afford, whose parents could afford them to send them to these schools. So this is why you have cabinet ministers and very wealthy black businessmen sending their children to the white schools in the mid-90s as well. Economic growth and other societal goals were also a big factor and a challenge. And also unemployment had increased since the 1994. And then number 8, there was a lack of a culture of learning and teaching, and this was mainly due to discipline problems in schools and absenteeism with the pupils as well as with the teachers. Teachers would just not be at schools for a number of weeks or months. And then administrative inefficiency, there was financial mismanagement, and unnecessary spending was a feature. They would spend far more money on staff parties than what they would do on books and school buildings and that. And then, so it's those 9 factors which come into making which would prove to be a real challenge for schools here in our country. Right? I've just been asked the graduation date for Cornerstone is the 29th of November 2014. It's a Saturday, and you'll get to it then. Right, so that's just a sort of background of some of the challenges that we are facing, and the article by Ismail and James also highlights some of those challenges there that we're dealing with. All right, I want to take you now to another presentation that deals with so the assignments that we are dealing with here, assignment 3, and the discussion forum as well. I'll just take you through this. Both of these slide presentations are on resources under Fundu resources under history of education. Right? So now the first assignment, or the first issue, was the assignment 3. And here the question was absolutely vital. Students who have had to understand the question, right? The question was, what has almost 2 decades of democracy meant for education in South Africa? I got a lot of students who replied about the social change that had taken place in South Africa, but and what the change, what voting had meant to people in 1994, but that wasn't what the question was. the question was about the education. What did democracy mean for education? And that's what we had to focus on. There was also a lot of irrelevant material that was put into the assignments. And yeah, you know, it might be interesting and all of that, but it doesn't deal with the question. And so you've got to answer the question to get the marks for the assignment as well. Right, and these were some of the guidelines that were given to you on the e-guide, and they show you some of the things there that you were trying to look towards to try and help you in your assignment as well. Right, and then all of these are in the e-guide, so I'm not going to go over them. Right, this is an excellent reference. It's on resources. South African Schools Curriculum from NCS to CAPS, and you can this URL is on the resources under History of Education. You can look at it. It's a very good article written in I think it is 2012, and speaks a lot about it, because I also found in assignment 3 there was a lot of confusion between what is CAPS and OBE and Curriculum 205 and that. So I just want to go through some of those definitions now. Right. So the first thing that we have is the various sorry. Let's just get it back. The first thing that we have is the various abbreviations. Right. That's NCS, RNCS, C 2005, OBE, and CAPS. Right, so the next one, what do they actually mean? All right, National Curriculum Statements. Now this is what the old curriculum was based on. All right, everybody had the curriculum that they were supposed to teach. But there were statements about them. How the topics were taught was up to the individual teacher, and what was taught down in the Cape, in the Western Cape, was not taught in other provinces either. Right, and so there was differences that happened all along. And then they went and they had they revised the curriculum statements, and that was of these original ones. And then we started teaching the RNCS. Curriculum 205 came out in 1995 with the aim of where we wanted to be in education in 2005, and OBE, outcomes-based education, was seen as the vehicle that was going to drive this. But it was soon realized our schools were so poorly resourced that OBE was not going to function here, and so therefore a new system had to be revised, and that's where we get the CAPS, which deals with assessments. Right, I just want to take you through this slide as well, because this one gives a better explanation of the meaning of the abbreviations. Right, so the NCS was left up to the teacher. That's the main thing. And then the RNCS was when the statements were revised. And then the Curriculum 2005, this was a major shift in our curriculum, schools curriculum, and now we were talking about learning areas. We weren't talking about subjects then. We were talking about learners, not pupils. We were talking about educators, not teachers, and so on and so on. Right? And then the the big thing here is that the C 2005 deals with the curriculum, the subject material, right? But OBE was the methodology of teaching the subject. There were critical object outcomes and specific outcomes. There were 64 outcomes spread across 8 learning areas. And in a year, as an educator or as a teacher, you were expected to go through all 64 of those learning specific outcomes in your learning areas as well. It was very, very time consuming. A lot of money was spent in training teachers and providing training material for OBE as well as for curriculum 205. And then came along CAPS, which has been phased in over the last 4 or 5 years, and is a big improvement on OBE. And now here you have where each grade has specific and concise statements that provide details of the content and assessment of the subject. Right? The set topics as well as the number of assignments are also set for each subject as well. We've now gone back into subjects, no longer talk about learning areas. We've now gone back into talking about pupils, not learners. We talk about teachers now, not educators. And it's going to take schools a bit of time to get used to these new terms as well. I also just want to make mention that CAPS is, while it is a major improvement on a curriculum 205 and OBE and all the other previous curriculums that we've had, it's not foolproof, right? There's still a lot of failures in it, and one of the major complaints about CAPS is that it places a tremendous emphasis on assessment, and it's one of the other things too is that it's meant for all schools across the country. So nationally, every school has to be doing the same topic. It's set out in such a way that every week there's a specific topic that you have to cover. And yeah, and you know, that's all very well and very good, except what if your pupils are a bit slower? If they can't grasp the topic as quickly as pupils at another school can, and you need to spend extra time with them, then that's going to impact on their success rate with CAPS as well. And so while it's a big improvement, it's still not without its downfalls as well. Pardon me. Right, and so those are just some, I hope that just clarifies something of those abbreviations as well. Also read the article that was online. It's on your resources. You can read that and get better idea of that as well. Right, then let's go on. Question forum 2. This was the one that you are busy with now. The moment it closes today, there have been some fantastic postings and contributions to this discussion forum, and I want to congratulate you to that as well. All right. The question is, or the discussion point was, colonialism, religion, and education. A critical perspective of its contribution in South Africa post-1994. In other words, what is the contribution that colonialism, religion, and education have made to South Africa since 1994? That's what we're looking at, and that's what you've got to aim to get. And if you go onto the discussion forum, you would have seen by now that there's there's different threads that are put on there dealing with each of those: colonialism, religion, and education. And so I would encourage you to have a look at those and to go through them. All right, one or two other interesting things that have come up. Now please, I've just taken a few of the points that have been raised already in the discussion forum. And by no means is this a complete selection. There's just one or two points that I feel that are important that have been raised. The first thing is about colonialism, and that is protection from other enemy countries is no longer essential. So why, what is the influence, what is the contribution of colonialism on to our South African society? But today, colonialism also takes other forms. Trade, economic, you can talk about ideologies, you can talk about the role that China plays in our economy as well. Are those not all forms of colonialism? What about forms of, when it comes to ideology, follow a certain specific education system? Yes or no? What happens there? Right? Then we get on to religion. Some facts there. It's a very, very important part in South Africa. Given our historically our history and how far education and religion have come in this country, it still plays an important role. The church is often regarded and is responsible for the moral fiber of the nation. Is that still so in South Africa today? Sometimes the only time you see politicians in church is just before the elections, when they are praying for votes. And then also there's a need to respect other religions in our country as well. So those are some of the issues that could be raised there as well. And then under education, there are a whole lot of things. The education is regarded as a basic human right. What about the adult basic education that has been provided since 1994? That's meant a whole group of older people have now been able to matriculate and come. You must have read some of the reports at the end of last year of grannies and grandpas, people who are well in their 70s and 80s, who are now being able to matriculate as well. And then education also is important as an escape to the poverty trap. Getting an education becomes a way out of poverty. Once you're educated, you can then move into a job, you can then earn money, you can then move away from townships or poverty areas and that, and enjoy a better lifestyle. Now those are just some of the points that some people have raised on the discussion forum as well. Right. Let's have some feedback. I don't know if there are any questions you want to ask. I suggest just put them down on group chat and I will answer them. Maybe something that you are uncertain about, something you want to know. I think it's also just important to realize that the discussion forum closes this evening at midnight or minute to midnight. So please, you need to, if you haven't been onto the discussion forum yet, please make sure that you make an effort to get on there and try your best to make one posting on each of those: colonialism, religion, and education. You do not have to agree with everything that is been said in the discussion forum. All right, it's fine to disagree. You can debate and that as well. And you can use, there's a question here, in discussion forum, could we use discussions we heard on radio SAFM? Absolutely, you can use those as well. All right, discussion forums are simply that. They are discussions. And you are encouraged to use and to discuss and to use other means of political analysis and whatever. Right, so that's quite in order. I think another important point too to remember in the discussion forum is to, while it's nice to copy or use things from other people, it's actually more essential that you put in your own feelings, and that I strongly urge you to avoid the copy and pasting. Right? Rather put a shorter posting in, and it'll make it so much easier for you as well. All right, any other further questions you'd like to ask? Just put them on group chat. I'll give you a minute to do that. Right, if there are no other questions or that you want to raise, or if you feel you'd rather raise them with me tomorrow in an email, that's fine as well. I will reply to those as well. And then I think, just to bring a round off this evening and bring it to a close, I just want to make sure that everybody understands this is the last of the history of education tutorials. It's not the last tutorial for the year, right? We still got the next week, which is the end of the last week of this semester for tutorials, and then next semester we'll still continue with the tutorial. But this is the last history of education tutorial, and I want to urge you, please make sure that all your assignments are in. All right, that you've submitted all of your assignments. Because we follow a system of not having exams, it's compulsory that students submit all assignments, even if they are handed in after the due date. You still need to submit those assignments. And then just to also mention that I will be posting a feedback questionnaire for each module on Funda, probably towards the end of this week or next week. Please, students, if you would take those questionnaires, complete them, and then email them back to the lecturer and to me. Right? So you just email, make it a copy, a CC email to the lecturer, and then also a reply to me as well. We're looking for feedback on the various modules and how we are doing, and how we can improve the modules and improve the course as well. And these questionnaires are the questionnaires that are being used by all students across all modules that are being presented over here. Right, the question's been raised about your semester schedule. I'm busy with drawing up the semester schedule, semester 2 schedule at the moment. I just need to sort out 1 or 2 little minor issues there, but you will get it definitely, well, if not by the end of this month, then you will definitely get it by the middle of June. 15th, 16th of June, you will definitely have it before then. The first, I can announce to you that the first CLC will be on July the 14th, Monday, July 14th. and then we will go through them. Right. Please send the feedback questionnaires back to us on email. Right. Don't scan. There's no need to scan them. You can just do it. Type it type in the answers, and then email the questionnaire back to me and to the lecturer as well. Yeah, the reading lists and that of the various modules for next semester, you're probably only going to get those in the early July when the next semester starts, because I don't think staff have got all their reading lists up to date to give them to you in June. But those staff that have will publish those reading lists out to you as well. All right. Are there any other questions you want to ask? Right. I'm just waiting for other questions. All right, if there are no other questions, just as regards to the reading list, I cannot make a promise that you will get them in June, right? But you will definitely have them in July. We're trying our best to give to only go with e-learning reading lists, in other words, lists that are available online, but it's not always possible to have every single book that's online there. All the reading lists are from online sources. I'm just trying to answer some other questions. You'll get an update of Funda in the new semester in July. Right. The question is, when are they going to update Funda with the new subject list? That will only be in July, the start of the new semester. The new semester starts on the 7th of July. The results from this semester, they will be published on Funda for you, and that will be probably, I think it's going to be in the end of June, early July, that you'll get those results. Right, and if for some reason or other you need an official printout or transcript of your results, for instance, for bursary purposes or whatever, then you would need to just email myself, or you email Carol on the vet, the registrar, and then she will organize that for you. So with the transcript, if you need one, you just need to email them. But otherwise, all your results will be published on Funda. You'll get them there. Funda is, please students use Funda as a very important source of information. We're trying to deal with all the communication by Funda, particularly in terms of academic matters, to the students as well. All right. I don't see any further questions, so I think I will just say thank you. Just wait a bit. Let's just get back here. If there are no further questions, then I will just wave and say thank you to everybody. It's been lovely meeting again with you, and go well. Enjoy the last couple of weeks of this semester. Just one last question. No, this history of education will not be presented again this year. Right? There's a semester of history of education. Will only happen again in the first semester of next year. That's a question from Para. Right? Must I hold on? Are there more questions that are going to be asked? Or stick around? No. All right. Okay, now I'm really saying goodbye to you. Okay, thank you, people. All right, go well. Bye.